Madam Chair Lady, through you, I'd like to ask a few clarification questions, but MP, as usual, MP Emmanuel have already touched on a few of them, but I'll still, ask mine because it's a little different, but it's still pertaining to the same thing. And it is regarding the question regarding MP Westcott Williams, question number 6, in which GB responded saying that GB management has a limited cash reserve. Please clarify the amount of this cash reserve and how much was done and accomplished to have this cash reserve. In addition, I'd like to also seek some clarification on the breakdown and how GB is maintaining that net positive cash flow, where there is, I was made to understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'd like to be corrected if I'm wrong, I was made to understand that seemingly a hefty amount of outstanding in accounts receivable. There's still a hefty amount of outstanding in accounts receivable, and the billing system is yet to be completed, and there's still a significant amount of people that has to be billed. So I would like clarity on this as well, on this positive cash flow they kept referring to. The question that from former MP Rolando Bryson, question 7, that in 3 months management turned the company around. I also have a question there. How was this achieved? And what are the implications? And what is the current outstanding debt of GP? And what are its revenues right now? Another question from the former MP Rolando Bryson regarding cyber security infrastructure, more than 75% complete. Is it now 100% complete? And another one that was posed by MP Remove, question 11. To me, the answer is not that clear, as I was made to understand, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that since the head of the department was placed on non-active leave, that the department was basically shut down. And as a result, is it fair to say that no internal audit has been taken place? And can the Prime Minister, through you, Madam Chair Lady, please clarify, considering that for the past 2 years only, the only audit that took place was that of the warehouse risk assessment with Grant Thornton. And lastly, my question 7, regarding the fluctuation, percentage-wise right now, the fluctuation of the threshold. Percentage-wise right now, how close are you to meeting that threshold? Thank you, Madam Chair Lady.
One point of clarification, Madam Chair, actually on a question, answer in response to a question from MP Ramu on renewable energy sources. The Prime Minister, through you, Madam Chair, mentioned a feasibility study that is being done, and the answer reads, in collaboration with the NRPB. But if I'm correct in my understanding, there is an existing agreement with Grid Market to produce a renewable energy map already. So I'd like to know if that is the study, if it's the same thing that we're talking about from NRPB in connection with Grid Market and GEBE, and if not, if the Prime Minister could clarify, then is the Grid Market partnership still happening, or is it no longer of interest to the country? Thank you.
As such, Madam Chair, if further information is required as to cash flow, etc., I would prefer to have that discussion in another setting. The next question was, how much is this reserve and what net positive cash flow position is GB providing? So basically, in terms of the cash flow or the presentation that the responses that they had provided, based on the facilities provided and the constant fluctuation of income via its billing, etc., that is where the definition of positive, what was the word? Positive, cash flow being positive means. So access to cash and liquidity. How much is this reserve? What net positive cash flow position is GB providing? The information, as I said just now, would not be provided in this public forum, Madam Chair, and I hope that, I'm fine, it's just a short thing. With the, trainings, etc., that have been provided.
1 minute, please, Prime Minister. MP Emmanuel.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair Lady, this is a clarification round. I am asking clarification on answers that they give to question that was sent to them, Madam Chair. It can't be in no other setting and no other nothing, Madam Chair Lady, please. And this is what GEBE does when they come in here with the Prime Minister. The last time they did it, the questions they did it, and they're doing it again, Madam Chair Lady. This is clarification. It can't be that you're going to answer a clarification in some other setting. You give the answer, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Emmanuel, for raising that matter. I'm sure the Prime Minister has taken note of your comments, and Prime Minister, I invite you to continue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I was stating, corporate governance determines what should be shared, when and where and how, and in the interest of protecting the integrity of the company, NVGB, which is a public company, yes, but not all information can be shared with the public. I thought that was clearly explained when we had the corporate governance training in here. Leaking this kind of information could potentially damage GEBE's reputation with potential investors, suppliers, as well as the staff, whose daily bread is actually dependent on GB remaining viable. So I don't know if it is the intention to hurt GEBE, but as I stated before, I think I've clarified what the positive cash flow, what was meant by that in terms of the available liquidity via the facilities as well as the cash on other banks. Financial viability of the company in question, referring to a question from MP Martin Helliger, what that the company, a response that the company was on the verge of
Point of order, Madam
bankruptcy.
Chair.
MP Emmanuel?
Is there something you want to say?
Sorry?
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say to you, rather than use the point of order, let the Prime Minister finish in the clarifications, and remember, we still have a second round.
No, Madam Chair. No, Madam Chair. I cannot use my second round clarification for things that was asked in the first round, Madam Chair Lady. This is the first round to the question that was asked to them that the Prime Minister is answering in the first round, Madam Chair. In clarification, Madam Chair, this is what I'm saying. They give the answers. I am asking them. They said that the reserves are there. I give them other numbers. I say, where, Madam Chair Lady? It can't be that the Prime Minister pulling up corporate this and then don't give no answer then, Madam Chair. So members of Parliament shouldn't do research, shouldn't get information. Madam Chair Lady, the Prime Minister can say whatever she wants.
Thank you, MP.
But confidential is confidential.
Thank you.
You give the answers.
Thank you, MP.
Madam Chair, this can't be.
Emmanuel.
If we can't get answers, Madam Chair Lady.
Thank you, MP Emmanuel. The Prime Minister is indicating what answers she is given, she will be given, and I would suggest that the Prime Minister finishes her answers, and based on your observations, MP Emmanuel, we then as Parliament decide what it is we want to do. I understand that, and
I'm on question 3, Madam Chair.
hold on, both of you a moment. Prime Minister Jacobs, you are on question 3. MP Emmanuel, I would suggest that we allow the Prime Minister to finish the answers to
Madam
the
Chair.
clarification questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'll repeat what was being read in question 3, in the clarification question 3 from the Honourable MP, and it was in clarifying an answer that was given to MP Grisha Helena Martin regarding the company being on the road to bankruptcy, and mentioning that the former management was inactive when 20 million in cash was on the account, and now they are in 30 million, plus was on the account. I'm quoting what is typed here as the question that was written. And now they are in the red. Can this be clarified? The reserves of 30 million that was in place, as I mentioned in previous presentations here, based on the burn rate, which has been explained as The monthly expenses exceeding the revenues at that time by about 6 million per month. If we do that calculation from September to December, January, it would have been completely eroded. So because we were only billing 15% of our customers and not all of the rest were paying into their account, the amount of revenues being generated in August 2022, September 2022, was at 6 million per month loss. If we can understand 5 times 6 is 30, that would mean that 30 million in cash would be gone had certain actions not been taken. That is the explanation and the clarification to that. The management was able to secure, at that time, there was no overdraft facility, there was just the 30 million in cash, and the management was able to secure a facility, overdraft facility, which gave the needed breathing room to be able to make priority payments, which, as we remember back then, is Sol being paid? Is this one being paid? Is that one being paid? I'm sure we remember that story very well, Madam Chair. And that is being handled. That was being handled at the time. And at this time, it has also reduced the dependency on the cash. So the management prefers to use the facility and keep a certain amount of cash in case of emergencies and urgent needs.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
So I'm going to follow on the same press conference of the GSC. They also suggested that St. Martin eliminate the use of the CFT, as they strongly believe that there are other organizations on the island that can go do the work that the Committee for Financial Supervision is doing. Your reaction?
The General Audit Chamber is a respected advisory body of government and parliaments. I didn't address the parliament part. Of course, the discussions over the years have been the budget of parliament and their travels. And unfortunately, today at 11, the parliament is meeting about those committees, those local committees, ad hoc and permanent committees of parliament, but also the Parlatino ones. And I do have some strong feelings about that, which I would have liked to be in parliament to express. But unfortunately, it is a family member that has passed away, and I have to pay my respects. If I get through, I will still return to parliament to address on the parliament level the travel issue. I would definitely want to see budget minimized for travel of parliament. In fact, you know, it is we as parliament that determine which committees we want to be on. And so I asked one of my faction members to, and I will send it in writing before the meeting, to remove me from a couple of them. I did do minimally, but now when you get the final overview, most of the committees are quite full. And if you want to do a good job, in my opinion, you have to be able to focus on a few things that you are either have a strength in or a strong interest in, and be able to bring things to the floor of parliament. So while I believe that some of the Parlatino meetings that I have attended in the past were quite helpful, you get to discuss things with your regional colleagues. I don't know how much of the results of it we have made use of, to be honest. And so I would want to limit the travel to Parlatino committees to at least 2 to 3 persons. I'm saying it here instead of on the floor of parliament, my apologies. But we have to be more conscientious. What we have seen lacking in parliament is good legislative support. So I would prefer to have budget reallocated from travels to, or wherever else, or maybe increase budget in any case to legislative support. And that is my opinion on the matter, and I will reduce my participation to only 2 committees of Parlatino, and I have to assess how many committees I've signed up for in the permanent and ad hoc committees, but I will definitely reduce those as well, because to be more effective, you need smaller committees, and if the committees is as large as the central committee, then it doesn't make sense to me to be effective in its work. So I hope I addressed that. And did I address the General Audit Chamber? What was the question? Oh, the CFT. I wholeheartedly agree with the General Audit Chamber. In fact, as you may recall, 2017, we had 2 balanced budgets. There are several, let's say, requirements to have the CFT removed. We are actually having a review done. We had a review done in 2021, and we're having another one done. I think it was 21 or 22. It's a periodic review that is done of the CFT. That's being done, and a committee, we have representation on that committee. And we had, the last report already mentioned some things and some recommendations and some maybe very lofty expectations that we should probably not be subject to any longer, seeing the reality of the world and the fact that, you know, risks happen and you can fall into a deficit budget, etc. So we have had 2 balanced budgets, 2016-17. We now have 2 balanced budgets, 2023, 22, I believe. So if 2024 we can go through without any disasters, we would have met another of the requirements. So I think we're in a better position now. We've also caught up with our financial statements. So the level of accountability on St. Martin has raised, and I agree with them. There are other ways, the General Audit Chamber being one, to have the checks and balances within our finances here in government. So I agree we should look at ways in which we remove that that last condition that was placed on us in 2010 when we became a sovereign country within the state of the Kingdom of the Netherlands.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
Haitians forced from their homes flee Port-au-Prince with what little they can carry. Days of heavy gunfire have been reported across the Haitian capital, including near the National Palace.
We haven't been able to sleep since last night. We're running away, me with my belongings on my head, not knowing where to go. I worked for the Ministry of Social Affairs for over 20 years and was able to build my own house. But now, here I am, homeless.
Armed gangs want Prime Minister Ariel Henry to resign and have blocked him from getting back into the country. He was recently in Kenya trying to finalize a deal for a Kenyan force of peacekeepers. The UN says it's getting ready to send a multinational security mission, and Caribbean leaders have called an emergency meeting with the US, Canada, and France to discuss the conflict.
We have taken the decision as a community to write the heads of state and heads of government of the key countries with whom Haiti is engaged as partners, inviting them to meet with our heads in CARICOM in Kingston, Jamaica on Monday the 11th of March to urgently address this state of affairs.
At least 15,000 Haitians have been forced to leave their homes because of days of fighting between gangs and the police. Food and water and other basic necessities are increasingly hard to find.
The director of police, that carefree and inhuman man, must do what he wants with the bandits. We can't take it anymore. We've lost all our possessions, everything we owned. We've lost our families. We're on the streets today, seeking refuge in other safer shelters.
With no functioning government in Haiti, people say the gangs, which control large parts of the country, are making life unbearable. Imran Al-Khan, Al Jazeera.
The United Nations is describing the capital of Haiti as a city under siege. Thousands have fled Port-au-Prince as armed gangs battle to seize complete control. Caribbean leaders have called an emergency meeting on Monday for talks with Canada, France, and the U.S. Well, Rosa Friedman is a professor of law, conflict, and global development at Reading University. She joins us from London. Thank you for being with us this hour. What do you think is the way forward? What are the next steps right now? I mean, for Haiti as a country, it's hard to imagine the Prime Minister, Ariel Henry, going back. Nobody is pushing for that. Nobody wants him back in Haiti, it seems. But without a Prime Minister, where next?
Really what needs to happen is for Ariel Henry to step down, to resign, or to be deposed, and for an interim government primarily made up of committed civil society organisations, including human rights organisations, to take control of the country and to implement free and fair elections as soon as is possible. And they will need support for that. The Haitian police, the Haitian military will need support for that. But it really needs to be Haiti's civil society and Haitian people that drive this forward and not an international intervention.
You mentioned, did I hear that right? You mentioned human rights organizations maybe taking control of the country and as you envision it. Is that right?
There have been proposals in recent years from different parts of Haitian civil society, including human rights organizations, for ways forward in terms of having interim governance while free and fair elections are put into place. Now, none of those would involve having international interventions. We know that in Haiti, for at least 100 years, international interventions have absolutely destroyed the country. And every time Haitians have voted in and elected governments that they want, international interventions have actually deposed them. So the last thing that Haiti needs is yet another international intervention.
So you say, in your view, no to the multinational task force that was approved by the UN Security Council back in October, that's supposed to be led by Kenya, but still hasn't. We're waiting for the green light from the Kenyan Parliament, if I'm not mistaken.
I say absolutely no to that. And I think that if you listen to most Haitian voices on the ground and in the diaspora, they are saying no to an international task force led by a country that do not speak Creole, that do not speak French, that do not speak Spanish, that don't know the climate and the context in Haiti. But also let's remember that the United Nations Stabilization Mission in Haiti absolutely failed. It brought cholera into the country. There was rampant sexual exploitation and abuse. There were grave human rights violations and use of force. And eventually that stabilization mission left, first of all turning into a justice and human rights mission, then altogether leaving the country. What Haiti does not need is a UN task force or a UN appointed task force to come into the country. What it really needs is to have support for Haitian infrastructure, for Haitian police, Haitian military and Haitian civil society, because this violence and cycles of violence will only end with Haitian solutions on the ground.
But Ms. Friedman, I hear you, but how do you even begin to get the support? You mentioned civil society having the support of police and the military. How do you even begin to see that happen when the capital is controlled by gangs?
Well, the starting point of these gangs are a very small minority. Now, yes, there is grave violence going on, and yes, these gangs have large amounts of weapons, but we see that in many other countries in the region. We've seen that previously in Colombia, in El Salvador, in Honduras, and that doesn't then lead to this immediate international intervention being used as the one-size-fits-all. So what is the difference between Haiti and these other countries? Why is it that we support other countries to address the problems within their midst? But in Haiti, which was the first black sovereign republic in the Western Hemisphere, there's always talk about intervening from the outside, particularly by actors who do not know the context of the country, rather than supporting the country to intervene itself. There is really only one answer that we can think of, and that answer is, of course, racism.